Welcome to yet another session of the ACCA F5 Performance Management paper. In today's ACCA F5 session, we will be taking up a problem from the exam kit BEFT company. As was stated by Nancy, this problem covers 4 topics. But let's look at the brighter side. If you complete this question, you will not be killing 2 birds with 1 stone, but you will be killing 4 birds with just 1 stone. So let's get started with today's F5 session, the BEFT company. Now, before we start with the question, just a word of caution. Please listen to this video only after you are thorough with the 4 topics. I've already created separate videos for all these 4 topics that are covered in this question. I will give links to the respective video as and when the topic is being covered in the question. So it will be easy for those students who have not gone through the 4 videos that have already been created. But ideally, I suggest is that you be thorough with the 4 topics and then start off with the question. That will be easier. The links of all those related videos will be given in the description box also. Question number 1. Which 2 of the following statements about limiting factor analysis are true? The learning effect of labor cannot be incorporated within limiting factor analysis. Now, in case of a single limiting factor, if the direct labor hours is limited, how do you rank the products to find out the optimum product mix? We calculate the contribution per unit divided by the direct labor hours required per unit. And the one with the maximum contribution per limiting factor or the contribution per direct labor hour will be given rank 1. That is how you do the problem. Now, in the question, they have said the learning effect of labor cannot be incorporated within limiting factor analysis. What do you mean by the learning effect? Learning effect means the direct labor hours required for repetitive work will reduce, and it is not a constant figure. So it becomes difficult for you to calculate the contribution per direct labor hour for the different products and rank it accordingly. So what they have said is the learning effect of labor cannot be incorporated within limiting factor analysis is a true statement. Now, coming to the next statement, the shadow price is calculated by considering the extra profit that can be earned from 1 more unit of a scarce resource. If you recollect the video on shadow price, how do we calculate the shadow price? Shadow price is equal to the additional contribution generated. It is not equal to the extra profit. So this statement is false. Now, coming to the third statement, linear programming cannot incorporate joint products into its analysis. What do you mean by linear programming? Linear programming is we are trying to find out the optimum product mix in case of 2 products and when multiple limiting factors exist. So how do we solve such kind of problems? On the x-axis and the y-axis, you have the 2 products. We are trying to find out the optimum product mix. That is how many units of X are to be produced and how many units of Y are to be produced, which means that if you increase the quantity of X, you will have to reduce the quantity of Y and vice versa because of the limiting factors of the limited resources. In case of joint products, you cannot apply this because joint products are created simultaneously. There is no question of increasing the quantity of one product and reducing the quantity of another product. It's just not possible. So what they have said is linear programming cannot incorporate joint products into its analysis is true. Now, coming to the last statement, linear programming is a technique for making decisions under uncertainty. It is not decisions made under uncertainty. We are very sure that we have got such and such limiting factors. Maybe it's the direct labor hours which is limited, or it is the machine hours which is limited, or it might be the quantity of raw materials which is limited. So we are very sure of that. There is no uncertainty involved in linear programming. So the last statement is false. So the 2 statements which are true are statement 1 and statement 3. Moving to the second part of the question. BEFT company makes 3 types of plates per unit details in dollar. So they've got 3 types of plates named square, oval, and cloverleaf. So the material cost for the metal and for the paint is separately given. The labor cost for manufacturing the plates and also for painting the plates are separately given. Next comes the variable overheads. Then there's a fixed overheads. Then you have the profit, and the expenses together with the profit add up to get the selling price. And the maximum monthly demand of all the 3 products are also given. Painting labor limited to 7,250 hours for next month. See, there is a limiting factor. And what is a limiting factor? Labor hours as far as the painting is concerned. What is the production plan that would maximize profit for the next month? So it is a case of single limiting factor. So how do we solve the problem? So we have to calculate the contribution per direct labor hour. That is for the painting work. So let's start off with the answer. So we have to first calculate the contribution per unit. So what is a contribution per unit? Contribution per unit is selling prices minus the variable cost. So selling price for square is 39 and the variable cost is $24 per unit. So 39 minus 24, we get the contribution as $15 per unit. We write that in the box. Coming to the second product, the oval, the selling price is 56.5 and the variable cost is 41.5 per unit. So the contribution is 56.5 minus 41.5, giving an amount of $15 per unit. The last one, the cloverleaf, the selling price 68, variable cost per unit 52. So the contribution per unit is 68 minus 52, giving an amount of $16 per unit. Now, what is the painting hours it is required per unit? So all eyes on this line. For 1 hour, the rate is $6 per hour. And for square, $3 is being incurred. So what is the hours? So the painting hours required for square is 3 divided by 6 or 0.5 hours. So we write that in the box here. And as far as the oval is concerned, it is 9 divided by 6 or 1.5 hours per unit. And for the cloverleaf, it is 12 divided by 6 or 2 hours per unit. Next, we have to calculate the contribution per hour. So contribution per unit for square is 15 and it takes 0.5 hours. So the contribution per hour is 15 divided by 0.5 or $30 per hour. Now for oval, it is 15 divided by 1.5 or $10 per hour. And for cloverleaf, it is 16 divided by 2 or $8 per hour. So for each hour, it is square that gives the maximum contribution. So the best product is square. So we give rank 1 to the square. The next best contributor is oval with $10 per hour. So we give rank 2 to oval. And finally, for clover, it is rank 3. So this is the order in which you have to manufacture these plates. Now, for completing the answer, the only information that is required from the question is the maximum monthly demand. So we will retain that and delete the rest because that's not required henceforth. And let me just incorporate this line into our answer. Okay, so that's added to the answer. That's the maximum monthly demand. Now we will start producing the products. So which is the product that we have to produce first? It is square because it is rank 1. So we will add 2 lines. One is the production and the other one is the hours taken. So as far as square is concerned, the monthly demand is 4,000 units, which means that the maximum units that we need to produce is only 4,000. We needn't produce beyond 4,000. So we will produce 4,000 units. So I have just written it against the production. Now regarding the hours taken, we will just make note of the total hours that is available for painting. So that is 7,250 hours. Now, when we have finished the production of square, that is 4,000 units, how much hours were taken? 1 unit, it is 0.5 hours. So for 4,000 units, it is 4,000 into 0.5 or 2000 hours have been taken. So what we will do is we will reduce 2000 hours from 7250. So the balance hours is just 5250 hours that is available. Next, we will produce oval. So oval maximum we need to produce only 4500 units, and each unit takes 1.5 hours. Hours is totally required. It is 1.5 into 4500 or 6750 hours are required for producing the entire quantity of 4500 units of oval. But do we have that much painting time? No. We have just 5250 hours. So what we will do is we will write the balance hours, that is 5250 hours in our table. Now in this 5250 hours, how many units of oval can be produced? For one unit, it is 1.5 hours. So in 5250 hours, how many units can be produced? It is 5250 divided by 1.5. Or we can produce just 3500 units of oval. That's the maximum number of units that we can produce within the available hours. So that's the optimum production plan. So for square, it is 4000 units, and for oval, it is 3500 units. Now moving to subpart 3 of the question. Question number 3, BEFT company does not want to disappoint any customers next month and is considering subcontracting some painting. So it wants to give the painting work outside, even if there is short-term loss. That is, we know that painting in-house is cheaper, but just because we have got limited labor hours for painting, we are forced to give the painting work outside. So this is nothing but make or buy with a limiting factor. The contracting cost, which includes material and labor cost for painting, is as follows. So this is the cost of subcontracting, or this is the buying cost. A major customer ordering 500 of each type of plate each month insists that their plates are painted in-house and not subcontracted. So we've got a major customer who insists that we should do the painting on our own. That is, the painting work should not be given to outside agencies. How many oval plates should be sent to subcontractors? So in a make or buy with the limiting factor, what do? We compare the making cost with the buying cost. So we shall see the relevant question extracts. So these are the per unit details which are given. So focus your attention only on the material cost of painting and the labor cost of painting, because that is the making cost. That is the cost of painting in-house. We will draw a table, that is, we are supposed to compare the making cost with the buying cost. So as far as the making cost is concerned for painting, it is 2 plus 3 for the product square. So it is $5. And for oval, it is 3 plus 9, that is $12. And for clover leaf, it is 4 plus 12, that is $16. Now, regarding the buying cost, the only thing is that you have to copy the details given in the question. So I've just copied the buying cost or the contracting cost, which is given in the question, that is 7, 15, and 22. Now, what do we calculate? Now we have to calculate the savings. So I'll just copy the answer into the next slide. So the next thing that you have to do is calculate savings. Savings is buying cost minus making cost. So for square, it is 7 minus 5 or $2. For oval, it is 15 minus 12 or $3. And for clover leaf, it is 22 minus 16 or $6. Next, what should you do? We should calculate the savings per hour. So the painting hours per unit is something that we already calculated in subpart 2. So this is the answer that we calculated in subpart 2. That is painting hours required per unit. It is 0.5, 1.5 and 2. So we will copy the painting hours required per unit into our answer for subpart 3. So I've copied the painting hours per unit. That is 0.5, 1.5 and 2. Next, what should you calculate? We have to calculate the savings per hour. So savings per hour for square, it is 2 divided by 0.5 or $4. For oval, it is 3 divided by 1.5 or $2. And for clover leaf, it is 6 divided by 2 or $3. Now we can rank the products. So if you see here, Squire has got the maximum savings per hour. Now the painting hours are limited. So we should manufacture or we should paint those products which gives the maximum savings per hour, because the painting hours are limited or the painting hours are valuable. So we will give rank 1 to the product Squire, and the next rank is for clover leaf with savings per hour at $3. So the last rank is for oval with savings per hour at $2. Now we can start the painting work with Squire because it has got rank 1. But we have got a small problem. What is the small problem? There is a major customer ordering 500 of each type of plate each month, and they insist that the plates are painted in-house and not subcontracted. So we cannot annoy our major customer. So first we have to meet their order. That is, we have to paint the plates that are required for the major customer. How many plates are required? 500 of each type. So hours taken for the compulsory order. It is 500 units for Squire multiplied by the hours taken per unit. That is 0.5. So that's what I've written here, 500 into 0.5. And as for oval, again, we need 500 plates multiplied by 1.5. So that's what I've written here. And for clover leaf, it's again 500 units multiplied by 2 hours. So that's what's written here. So we add up all three to get 2000 hours. So once we complete the compulsory order, 2000 hours are over. In the question, they have specified that the painting hours is limited to 7,250 hours. Okay, so now already 2000 hours gone. So what is the balance hours left? Balance hours is 7,250, which is the total painting hours given in the question, minus 2000 hours for the compulsory order. So now we are left with just 5,250 hours. Now we will start the painting based on this rank. So we know that the maximum demand for each product is 4,000, 4,500 and 1,800 units. This is something that is given specifically in the question, out of which 500 of each type of plate is for the major customer, for which we have already done the work. So from this maximum demand, we can reduce 500 from each type of plate. Why? Because we've already completed the painting work. So the demand excluding the compulsory order, it will be 4,000 minus 500 for Squire, that's 3,500. And for oval, it's 4,500 minus 500, that's 4,000 units. And for clover leaf, it's 1,800 minus 500 or 1,300 units. So this is the demand excluding the compulsory order. Now we can start off with the painting work based on the ranking. So rank 1 is for Squire. So we will first start producing, or we will first start painting the Squire, that is 3,500 units. So I will just copy the answer into the next slide. I will add 2 rows. One is for the production. Production is nothing but the painting work and also the hours taken. Now, how many hours do we have balance left? It's just 5,250 hours. So let's make a note of that too. So total hours left with us is just 5,250 hours. We are going to paint the entire quantity of 3,500 units. So I've written 3,500 units against the production or the painting work. And how many hours are taken? For 1 unit, it takes 0.5 hours. So for 3,500 units, it's 3,500 into 0.5 or 1,750 hours gone. So we have to reduce 1,750 from the total. So I'm reducing 1,750 from the total hours. So balance hours left is just 3,500 hours. Now going to the product with the second rank, that is clover leaf with rank 2. So we will start producing 1,300 units of clover leaf. So I've just copied that into the production row. And how many hours have been taken? For 1 unit, 2 hours are taken for painting. So for 1,300 units, it's 1,300 into 2 or 2,600 hours. So we again reduce 2,600 hours from the total. So 3,500 minus 2,600, we get 900 hours left. Now we will go to the last product. So the last product is oval. We have to produce 4,000 units. For 4,000 units, for each unit, you're taking 1.5 hours. So 1.5 into 4,000, we need 6,000 hours for completing the painting work of the entire quantity of 4,000. But do we have 6,000 hours? No, we do not have 6,000 hours. We have just 900 hours left with us. So what we will do is, in this 900 hours, how many units of oval we can produce? This is what we are going to find out. So I'm just copying the balance hours left. So 900 hours. In 900 hours, how many units can we produce of oval? One unit takes 1.5 hours. So in 900 hours, we can produce 900 divided by 1.5, or 600 units of oval we will be able to produce in this 900 hours. So that's the maximum painting work that we can do in the available hours. So what should we do? Out of 4,000, 600 we can paint in-house. So the balance, what is the balance? 4,000 minus 600, that is 3,400 units have to be sent to the subcontractor, or we should give the painting work outside. This is the way in which we have to decide how many units have to be given outside for painting. And this decision will maximize your profit. Now moving to subpart 4 of the question. Painters will be trained in the second month also, which means that we are going to have limited labor hours for painting in the subsequent month also. What was the limited labor hours for painting which was given in the question? It is 7,250 hours. So even in the second month, we are faced with the limiting factor for the painting labor hours. In the second month, metal and paint supplies will be limited to 36,000 kg of metal and 4,500 liter of paint. So we've got 2 additional limiting factors. What are the limiting factors? The material that is required for metal is restricted to 36,000 kg, and the material that is required for paint is restricted to 4,500 liters. So totally 3 limiting factors. BEFT company has decided to stop cloverleaf. So earlier we had got 3 products. What was the 3? One was square, second one was oval, and the third one was cloverleaf. So they have decided to stop cloverleaf. So we are left with just 2 products, that is square and oval. The question further says, ACCA company. Who was ACCA company? Our major customer who used to order 500 of each plate. Who ordered 500 of each plate has stopped business. Which 2 of the following statements are true? So the first statement is labor will have a shadow price of 0. What do you mean by shadow price? Shadow price is the premium that you pay for a scarce resource. So what you have to find out is the labor hours a scarce resource? So I will copy the relevant question extracts. So in the question, that is in the first part of the question, they had said that the labor hours are limited to 7,250 hours. And further in the question, they had said that the maximum monthly demand is 4,000 units of square and 4,500 units of oval. Since they have stopped the clover leaf, we are not worried about that product. Now, it has been stated in the question that the ACCA company who ordered 500 of each plate has stopped the business. So this maximum monthly demand includes the demand of ACCA company also. So we have to first exclude that. So the balance monthly demand is 4,000 minus 500, giving 3,500 units as the quantity demanded for the product square. And for oval, it is 4,500 minus 500, that is 4,000 units. Now, what is it that we have to see? We have to see to make these quantities, that is 3,500 units of square and 4,000 units of oval, whether 7,250 hours are sufficient. Now, in the second part of the question, we had found out the painting hours required per unit. It is 0.5 hours for square and 1.5 hours of oval. Now, for painting one unit, 0.5 hours are required. So, for painting 3,500 units, How much time is required? Labor hours painting required, it's 3,500 into 0.5. That's coming from here, 3,500 units of square multiplied by 0.5. And as for oval, it is 4,000 multiplied by 1.5. So that's what I have written here. So the total painting hours which is required is 7,750 hours. But what is the total painting hours that is available in-house? It is just 7,250 hours, which means that the painting labor hours is limited. It is limited to the extent that we will not be able to meet even the monthly demand. Such type of constraints are known by the term binding constraints. So we know that labor hours of painting is a binding constraint. It is scarce. So since it is scarce, we can get additional labor hours only if you pay a premium, only if you pay a shadow price, which means that shadow price is never zero. It will be a positive figure. So as far as this first statement is concerned, that is labor will have a shadow price of zero, is absolutely false. Moving to the second statement, objective function is to maximize 15S plus 15O, where S is the number of square plates produced and O is the number of oval plates produced. What do you mean by the objective function? Objective function is nothing but the contribution equation. So we've already calculated the contribution of the two products as 15 and 15. So definitely we will write the contribution equation as 15S plus 15O, and it is to be maximized. So this statement, that is statement 2, is true. Now moving to the third statement, if solved graphically, optimal solution is where the constraints for the metal and paint intersect. Now whenever you get a question like this, you do not need to draw the graph. In most of the cases, one of the constraints, that is either metal or the paint constraint, will be a non-binding constraint. Now, what do you mean by a binding constraint and a non-binding constraint? I will give you a simple example so that you will understand the meaning better. Suppose you are involved in making burgers, and for each burger, you need a cheese slice. Suppose the number of cheese slices that you have with you is just 4 cheese slices, which means that cheese is a constraint or a limiting factor. Now, if the demand for your burger is 5, then it means that the cheese is insufficient to satisfy the entire demand because we have got just 4 cheese slices. In such a case, cheese will be a binding constraint. But if the demand of burgers is just 3, then the cheese slices are sufficient to meet the demand, which means that it is a non-binding constraint. Now, whenever it is a non-binding constraint, what happens? We will make only 3 burgers, which means that only 3 cheese slices will be used. There will be a balance 1 cheese left. So when you draw the graph for the linear programming, it will appear like this. Suppose this is the optimum solution for the burger. That is, we are making 3 burgers. Then the cheese constraint will be above the optimum production plan. There'll be a gap here showing that the cheese is not fully utilized, which means that whenever we get an optimum production plan, if it is a non-binding constraint, it will be above the optimum production plan. It will not pass through it. In the question that we were tackling, if we can prove that at least one of the constraints is non-binding, then we can confirm that the optimum solution do not lie on those particular lines. So they are asking you optimum solution is where the constraints for the metal and the paint intersect. So we will first try to find out the metal constraint, whether it is binding or non-binding. So let's see the question extracts. So this is what is given in the question regarding the metal. That is, for each unit, $4 is taken for square, and for oval, it is $5. So what is the quantity of metal that is required? For 1 kg of metal, the price is $1. And for square, we are incurring $4 for each unit, which means that the kg of metal that is consumed is 4 divided by 1, or 4 kg. So that's what I'm going to write here, 4 kg for the square. And for oval, how many kgs are required? it is 5 divided by 1 or 5 kg. Now we know that the balance monthly demand is just 3,500 units of square and 4,000 units of oval. So now for meeting this monthly demand, do we have sufficient quantity of metal? This is what we are going to find out. So for 1 unit, 4 kg of metal is required and we need to produce 3,500 units. So how much metal is totally required for the product square? It is 3,500 into 4. So that's what I've written here. And as for oval, for 1 unit, it is 5 kg and we need to produce 4,000. So it's 4,000 into 5. That's the total metal which is required for oval. So that's what I've written here. So the total quantity of material as far as metal is concerned is 34,000 kg. How much metal do we have? We have 36,000 kg of metal with us, which means that metal is a non-binding constraint. So it is clear that the optimal solution will not lie on the constraint for metal, which means that this statement is false. So now we have a false statement here, and the second statement is also true. Which two statements are true? Obviously, this should be true. But anyway, we will solve that also. Paint will have a positive shadow price. These are the question extracts. So now concentrate on the paint row. So for 1 liter, the price is $4, and for square, $2 is being incurred for 1 unit. So how much liter of paint is required for 1 unit? It is 2 divided by 4 or 0.5 liters for square. And for oval, it is 3 divided by 4 or 0.75 liters for oval. Now we will see what is the material of paint which is required for satisfying this monthly demand. So it is 3,500 into 0.5 for square plus 4,000 into 0.75 for oval. So that is what I have written here, which works out to 4,750 liters. So for producing the monthly demand, we need a total of 4,750 liters of paint. How much paint do we have with us? We have just 4,500 liters of paint. It is insufficient, which means that paint is a binding constraint. Binding constraint will definitely have a shadow price because it's a scarce resource. So this statement is true. Now, moving to the last subpart. BEFT company is considering permanently ceasing production of the clover leaf plates. So this is a question of shutdown decisions. Which two factors should be considered in the decision? The head office cost apportioned to the clover leaf plate. So head office cost is nothing but an apportioned cost, or it is a general fixed cost. General fixed costs are never considered in shutdown decisions. The decommissioning cost for the clover leaf plate. These are nothing but the closure cost. Closure costs are considered in shutdown decisions. Now, the budget for clover leaf plates shows a loss for next year. Now, loss for next year will always include a portion of the apportioned fixed cost. So that is not something that you have to consider. So budgeted loss includes a portion fixed cost and hence cannot be considered. And the last point is the impact on reputation of reducing the range of plates produced by BEFT company. In the video on shutdown decisions, I had mentioned specifically that before you close down a particular division, you should always analyze its impact on the reputation of the company, whether the reputation of the company will be adversely affected. So this is something that you have to consider for shutdown decisions. So the two factors which should be considered in this decision is just the decommissioning cost and the impact on the reputation of the company. The other two, that is the general fixed cost and the budgeted loss for next year, need not be considered. So we are finally done with the question. If you have benefited from the video, do support the channel by clicking the subscribe and the like button. And do share it with your friends whom you feel will benefit from the video. So thank you all and see you in the next video.